The door slammed before he could even finish his sentence. It didn't close slowly or politely. It hit the frame with a force that seemed to say everything Zohran Mamdani had heard his entire life. People like you don't belong here. For a moment, Zohran just stood there on the doorstep, his campaign flyer still between his fingers, the cold New York wine slipping under his collar. He could hear muffled voices inside the apartment, the kind that came from people who never wanted to understand you, never wanted to see you, never wanted to believe a taxi driver's son could one day ask for their vote. But instead of turning around, instead of letting the humiliation sink deep into his bones, Zohran whispered the same sentence he had whispered every time life tried to push him back. Good. Then I'll rewrite the rules. It wasn't the first door that had shut on him. And it wouldn't be the last. But this door, this loud rejection, became the spark that pushed him harder than he had ever pushed before. Because what the man behind that door didn't know was that Zohran had spent his entire childhood watching doors close on his father too. Every night when his father stepped out of the yellow cab, hands rough, eyes tired, clothes heavy with city dust, he carried stories of being ignored, rejected, underpaid, unseen. And yet, every morning, he went back out with the same quiet dignity. Zohran remembered sitting in the car as a kid, watching his father drive through the city he loved but never truly belonged to. Those memories formed the fire burning in his chest now as he stood alone in the cold. He didn't walk away from that slammed door. He walked toward the next one. He walked for hours. Building lobbies, stoops, staircases, every step felt like fighting gravity. Some people smiled at him. Some listened. Most didn't. But Zohran kept going, because he wasn't campaigning for fame or power. He was campaigning for every child who grew up watching their parents carry the weight of a city that never carried them back. By evening, rain began falling thin at first, then heavy enough to soak through his shirt. His shoes filled with water. His hair stuck to his forehead. Flyers turned soft in his hands. Yet he refused to stop. When people asked why, he would simply say, because someone has to make sure the next kid doesn't get this door shut on them. And slowly, people began to see him. Not because he shouted the loudest. Not because he looked like the politicians they were used to. But because he showed up, again and again, even when no one opened the door. Months later, on election night, when Zohran stepped onto the stage and the crowd roared his name, he thought about that one moment, one door slamming, one rejection that almost broke him but instead made him unstoppable. He smiled at the cheering faces and said, if a door shuts in your face, don't walk away. Knock again. And if it still doesn't open, build your own. And in that moment, the boy who once watched his father fight for respect became the man who taught a city what resilience truly looks like.
Whose inspiring story of politician would you like to hear next? Tell us in the comments below.